Hi, Tapang. Thanks so much for your question. You're quite right. This is a very tricky one, and I can see how you'd have a problem understanding where they're coming from. And to be honest, by the time we get to the answer, we have to have known a couple of things about mathematics that I'm not sure that you guys have learned in grade 11 just quite yet. So I'm going to take you to a space until where we are actually comfortable, and then I'm going to introduce something that you probably haven't seen before, but actually explains the answer a lot better. Okay, so the first couple of steps that you've got, you're absolutely correct. What we're going to do here is we're going to take out, or we're going to rewrite this as 5 to the power 2x multiplied by 5 to the power negative 1, and we're going to do that with the rest of them as well, right? So we're going to end up with 5 to the power 2x, 5 to the power 2x multiplied by 5 to the power negative 1 minus 5 to the power x multiplied by 5 to the power negative 1 is equal to 37. Then we're going to take 5 to the power negative 1 out as a common factor on the left-hand side. So we're going to have 5 to the power negative 1, and we're going to have 5 to the power 2x minus 5 to the power x, which is equal to 37. Now, 5 to the power negative 1 is the same thing as 1 over 5, so we're going to end up with 1 over 5 multiplied by everything that we have on this side, and that's going to be equal to 37 as well. So now to get rid of this 1 over 5 over here, what we're going to do is on both sides, we're going to multiply by 5. So we're going to multiply the side by 5, multiply by 5 on the sides, just to make sure it's still balanced on each side. And what we're going to get is these two are going to cancel each other. Then I'm going to have 37 multiplied by 5, which is 185. So I'm going to have 5 to the power 2x minus 5 to the power x is equal to 185. And then this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because we're not all too sure how we're going to use 5 to the power 2x minus 5 to the power x to get a factor that's going to help us in everything we're trying to do here. Okay, so this is where something funky comes in. I'm going to rename 5 to the power x as something else. Okay, I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to just say here, let x, or let 5 to the power x equal to k. And the reason why we want to do this is because if I take 5 to the power 2x, I'm going to get 5 to the power 2 of these x's, which is going to give me k squared. And that's going to give us a quadratic, which is going to be a lot more helpful than what we've got so far. So I'm going to replace 5 to the power x by k, and over here where it's got 2x, it's going to give me 2 of that. So I'm going to get k squared minus k, and then I'm going to take 185 and bring it over to the other side of the equal sign. This is going to give us minus 185, and that's all going to be equal to 0. And now I can solve for k, which is then going to help us solve for x in the end. I'm going to continue up here, because now what needs to happen is we need to find two numbers that when we open two brackets like this, for that will give us 185 when multiplied by each other, and negative 1, because that's what's sitting here in front of k, negative 1, when added to each other. And at this point, we're going to figure out that this is impossible, because 37 is a prime number, and you can't really find any other factors for it other than 1 and 37. Okay, so what we're going to have to do here is use the quadratic formula. I hope you're familiar with the quadratic formula. It's going to say, if we're looking for x, we're going to use minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And we've got our b over here is going to be negative 1. Our a is going to be 1, because that's the coefficient in front of x squared. And our or k squared, and our c here is going to be negative 185. So we're going to have, I'm going to write them over here in green. We're going to have x is equal to, our negative b will be negative minus 1 plus or minus, that's where we get our two answers, the root of b squared, that's negative 1 squared, minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 185. All of that is underneath that square root sign. All of that multiplied by, or divided by 2 multiplied by a, which is 1. And we're going to get two answers here. We're going to get x, or k rather. Let me rewrite that. So what we're going to get here is k, not x, because we're calculating for k. So we're going to get k over there. We're going to get two answers. K will either be equal to 13.11 or k will be equal to negative 14.11. And now this means, because we let x 5 to the power x equal k, what we're going to get here is 5 to the power x is equal to 13.11, or 5 to the power x is equal to negative 14.11. Now on this side over here, we're not going to get an answer because we can't actually find the power of a negative number. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't happen in mathematics. So over here, we'll get no solution. This side over here, no solution. On the other side, however, we are able to get a solution, but what we're going to have to do is use a function that can allow us to find the answer of a number like 13.11. So 5 to the power of something would give us 13 to the 13.11, and that's kind of like a difficult number for us to get. So what we do is we use log, and we're going to log both sides of it. Okay, so we're going to get log to the power of 5, or 5 to the power x is equal to log of 13.11. Now, there's a function in log that says that I can take that x down, so I can end up with x of log 5 is equal to log of 13.11. And to get x on its own, I'm going to divide both sides by log 5, and I'm going to end up with x is equal to log 13.11 divided by log of 5. And if we punch that into our calculator, what we should actually get is that x is equal to 1.599. This last part that we're looking at over here is so complicated, and unless you're familiar with logs, you might not understand where that particular part comes from. Okay, I don't think you should stress about this particular question that much, but it is interesting to know when you get to grade 12, they do a couple of these, and you get to understand how we use log and why it's used. All right, all the best.